Hello everybody, and welcome to Kim Yetta Connects. I am your host, Kim Yetta, and I am super excited about today. I have a very special guest. It's the first time in these 7 months or so that I have a special guest today, but I did not want to tell her story. I wanted her to tell you a story. But let me ask you this. Are you a Christian who has ever experienced depression? Don't be ashamed. Have you ever been clinically diagnosed with it? Don't be ashamed. I need you to know you are not alone. Now, are you a Christian who believes all you got to do is pray it away? You got to watch this testimony from my dear, dear friend, LaKeisha Fleming. Her story is powerful. In just a moment, just keep watching the video and you will hear her tell her story of how she ended up clinically depressed, and her powerful testimony of how she came out of it. She's written a brand new book called There Is No Heartbeat. It's an amazing book for anyone. In fact, I'm going to give away a free copy, so stay to the end so you can see how to get your free copy of this book. Or if you want your copy right away, it is an amazing read. Just click the link below, which takes you directly to get her book. Please watch the entire testimony and you will be amazed at the power of God. Check it out.
What's the title of your book? And why was it important to write a book? The title of my book is There Is No Heartbeat. From miscarriage to depression to hope. And to help you understand why it was important for me to write this book, I want to share with you a little bit about my journey. So I'm very blessed. I have 2 wonderful sons, but I've also experienced 3 miscarriages. And with the third one, I carried that baby in my body for 3 weeks after hearing that the baby had no heartbeat. I traveled out of town to host a bridal shower, to be a part of a wedding, then had to return home and take medicine to get the baby to pass from my body. And the whole time, the prospect of surgery was looming over my head. So as you can imagine, that really weighed on me mentally. It made me feel hopeless. I experienced a lot of pain and hurt, bitterness, anger, frustration, fear. It was just a very difficult time. And it was a lot to try to process internally. So I'm dealing with all of that inside of myself. And then I have people outside of me who've learned I've had a miscarriage, that I'm grieving that entire experience. And some are making very compassionate, loving remarks, really trying to encourage me, pray for me, hold me up. Then there are others who didn't feel as encouraging or compassionate. They felt a little judgmental, said, hey, you're grieving too long, or as a Christian, you shouldn't be dealing with depression. You should still be full of joy and have that joy of the Lord. And I really tried. I did. But it was a very difficult time for me. And I really had to weather that storm. And so going through that process and all that I dealt with, I felt compelled to write this book. I wrote this book for people who are dealing with grieving and are being told you're grieving for too long. I wrote this book for someone who's lost a baby and is not sure how to feel, not sure what to feel. I wrote this book for people who've had something happen and wonder, where is God in all of this? And is it normal to wonder where God is in my situation? And I wrote this book for someone who may be feeling lonely and depressed and feels like they are all alone. I wanted this book, first of all, to help you know you're not all alone. You're not the only one. I wrote this book to give hope, to give encouragement, to give support, and to help people understand that God is there for them, no matter what the situation looks like. I wanted you to know that someone has made it through depression. Someone's made it through a struggle like this. And because of that, you can make it through too. Why do you think depression and mental illness are taboo topics in the Christian world? I think that depression and mental illness are taboo topics because there are Christians who believe that experiencing either one of those things is a sign of spiritual weakness. I think there are people who believe that you only deal with depression or mental illness if you're not praying enough, or you haven't read your Bible enough, or you don't have strong enough faith in God, or you're not focused enough on your relationship with Jesus, or maybe you have a hidden sin that you haven't confessed. And those are the things that lead you to deal with depression or mental illness. And that's wrong. I think some Christians just refuse to be vulnerable and admit, hey, we all have struggles. We all have situations we deal with, disappointments, upsets in life. I mean, that's scriptural, right? And sometimes when you have those things happen to you, it hurts. It makes you feel sad, lonely, vulnerable, exposed, depressed, frustrated, bitter. And I think when you get a group of people who refuses to admit that this is something people go through, who say we're going to turn a blind eye and pretend that this doesn't exist, or when we find out someone's dealing with it, we label them as not having enough faith or not being strong enough in their faith. When that happens over and over and permeates throughout a group of people, you get a topic that becomes taboo. And I think that's what's happened with depression and mental illness in a lot of Christian circles. Think of it this way. If you broke your leg, if you dealt with an infection, if you were sick in your body in some way, would you think you were less of a Christian if you weren't healed instantly? No, you would go to a doctor. You'd get treatment for your asthma or broken leg or vision problems, issues of that nature. You would go to someone who could take you from the point of being sick to the point of being well. And similarly, depression and mental illness is hurting in another part of your body. So you want to take advantage of resources that can help you go from hurting to healed, whether that's a minister or a pastor or Christian friends, or a counselor, a therapist, a support group, a psychiatrist. There are a number of ways that you can be taken from hurting to healing. But keep this in mind. Struggling with depression and mental illness doesn't make you any less saved. It just makes you human. What would you say to a mom who recently lost a baby? The first thing I would say is, I am so sorry, Mama. My heart truly, truly hurts with yours. There aren't really a lot of words I can say right now to make it any better, are there? I mean, you may be experiencing a number of feelings. You may be hurt, frustrated, despondent, depressed, lonely, upset. You may feel numb. You may not know how to feel. You may feel guilty. What did I do to let this happen? You may be wondering, where is God in all of this? Does he know what I'm going through? Does he even care? You may not know how to feel. And I just want to let you know that every feeling is valid. You are valuable. Your feelings are valid, and your value, you matter. I want you to know that you need to take time and go through your grieving process, whatever that looks like for you. I really feel like I didn't grieve for my first 2 miscarriages. So I think when the third one happened, that was a very big part of it, that grieving process, because I didn't go through it before. So take the time to grieve. Know that there are resources to help you get through that grief process, whether it's a minister or a pastor, whether it's a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, whether it's a support group or a group of friends to help nurture you. Take the time you need and take advantage of the resources that you have to get through that process. And I do want to let you know that when you're ready, God is there waiting for you. He loves you. He's not going to be angry that you asked questions. He's not going to be upset that you went through that grieving process. He just wants to love you through it. He'll be there to take you from the point of hurting to the point of healing, and to love you and hold you that entire time. I want you to know you're not alone. I see you, Mama, and God sees you. What scriptures did you meditate on during your journey? Initially, I didn't meditate on any scriptures. I was so hurt, frustrated, angry, and bitter. And I felt abandoned by God. I wondered, where was he in this situation? And why did he let me go through this traumatic experience? And so dealing with all of that, I didn't want anything to do with God at the time. I didn't want to read my Bible. I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to go to church. So I stopped. And then I found that those negative emotions began to overwhelm me. I could barely function. The depression just had me in a fog. I was constantly grieving, constantly angry, very bitter and crying. And I thought, I've got to find a way out of this. I've got to get some help to heal these mental and emotional wounds. And it was at that point I realized that I was angry with the only one who could really help me. And that was God. So I said, okay, Lord, show me what you got. Here's my anger, my depression, my frustration, my hopelessness. I need you to give me some hope. And I was so grateful to find that he did just that. He held his arms wide open, just loved me, and patiently led me from a point of hurting to a point of healing. Didn't happen overnight, but I was grateful God was there waiting for me when I was ready. So I'm going to share with you some of the verses that helped me. It's by no means an exhaustive list, but these are some of the ones that really ministered to me. I'm going to start with Psalm 42:5, and the beginning of that says, "Why, my soul, are you downcast?" That right there spoke volumes to me, because when my grief and depression was so heavy, I would say, "Why, my soul, are you downcast?" and really try to look at what was I feeling or experiencing at that moment that made me feel so heavy with the grief and depression. And I could really focus in on that emotion and then help myself move forward from that. So that verse really helped me focus on what I was struggling with at the moment to move forward in my process. The next verse I want to share is Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. If there are any two adjectives that could have described me during that time, they are broken and brokenhearted. I mean, I felt like my faith was shattered. I missed my baby. I missed my relationship with God because I stopped praying, stopped reading my Bible, and I needed those wounds to be bound up. So that verse really ministered to me because I said, if there's anyone who can help heal these horrible wounds that I have, it's God. The next verse I want to share is John 16:33. In the world, we're all going to struggle. We're all going to have problems, issues, things we deal with, circumstances, hurt, bitterness. But the great thing is we can be of good cheer because God's overcome the world. And that verse gave me hope. I had hope that God could actually bring me through this. And I'm going to tell you, when you're hopeless, you will cling to anything that can give you positive hope. And that verse did that for me. Little emotional because it really helped bring me out of that difficult time. Then there's the second half of Nehemiah 8:10. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Now, I didn't always feel that joy. I didn't always want to be joyful, but it just gave me hope to know that joy was there and I may be able to attain it at some point. Then there's the beginning of Psalm 17:8. Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. When I felt like the depression and grief was just oppressive, raining down upon me, I would picture in my head a wing covering me so that all those negative things would be repelled by the wing. And so whenever I think of hide me in the shadow of your wings, that's what I think of. So that verse really ministered to me because I'd get that visual image. And the last verse I want to share is Isaiah 26:3. God would keep me at perfect peace, keeping my mind stayed on him. I'm going to tell you, when I was struggling with negative thoughts, anger, not knowing where to turn, I needed peace from that torment. the torment of fear and depression and anxiety. I needed peace. So even though I didn't feel it, even though I didn't see immediately how I could achieve it, that verse gave me hope that if I continued to focus on God and think on Him, I would have perfect peace. So like I said, it's by no means an exhaustive list, but I hope those verses I've shared with you have encouraged you and motivated you to seek what God says in His Word to help bring you through a negative situation.
Wow. I truly, truly hope you've been inspired. What a story. You see, LaKeisha is what you'd call a successful person. College educated, a wife and a mom, a director, filmmaker, writer. She can do so many different things. But she had tragedy, which caused the onset of a serious season of depression. And so I hope you have been inspired. If you want to win a free copy of her book, then all you've got to do is click a like on this video and comment, "I am free," and we will pull for a winner to get the book for free. But you don't even have to wait on me. It is a super fast, easy read, but it will challenge you in your heart to grow closer to the Lord. You can click the link to get a copy of the book. Alrighty. Thank you so much for joining me, and I pray you've been blessed. Until next time.